are we doing today? I hope we're all doing really good. So today we have a new video, and can you guess what it is? Obviously you can because of the title. It is my June wrap-up for the year of 2021. So wrap-ups are officially my favorite videos of all time to record for you guys. So for the month of June, I have read 13 books. I have read 7 novels, and then I've also read, I believe, 6 graphic novels. I think that's 13. Yes, that's 13. Math's not my strong point, as you can tell. Last month, I did read 11 books, and I try not to make it a race with myself about how many books that I read for the months, because once you start basically not challenging yourself, but basically once you just start pressuring yourself to read more books just for the sake of reading more books, that's when we have a problem, and you just need to chill and not make this a race with yourself. Without me babbling and getting on into my little tangents, let's get into the video. So the first book that I read for the month of June was Dead Girls by Nekesa Afia. Yes, Nekesa Afia. So this book, it is about a girl named Louise, and she is in the 1925 Harlem era, you know, dancing, singing, bootleggers, illegal alcohol, all of that good stuff. So Louise is actually a survivor of a kidnapping. She was kidnapped when she was 16 years old, and while she was kidnapped, she got away, and she also freed the other girls that the kidnapper had kidnapped. And now it's 10 years later. She just wants to not be known as that girl anymore because that was the label that was given to her. But then Louise is confronted with a situation where Black women are actually being murdered in her area, and she knows these girls personally. So one day Louise gets into a confrontation with a white police officer, and he gives her an ultimatum. Instead of going to jail and serving time, you can either help us solve this mystery or you can go to jail. So Louise decides that she's just going to help to get out of jail. But then things start turning personal when bodies start turning up at Louise's job. So at that point, Louise is starting to realize that something is just not quite right, and the person who kidnapped her might actually still be out there. But ultimately, I did give this book a 4.0 out of 5. I'm definitely going to give the next book a go. But again, Dead Girls by Nekesa Afia was one of the books that I read for the month of June. So the next books that I read in the month of June were the Brown Sisters trilogy. I have not read the third book, Act Your Age, Eve Brown. That one, we're working on it for this month just because I was beat. I'm tired. I wasn't gonna read anymore. These books are by Talia Hibbert, and I love this series. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I loved this series. The books are absolutely adorable. The characters are just so funny, and they all have completely different personalities. So the first book that I read was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So this one, it is about the elder sister Chloe, to where she does have fibromyalgia, which is a very painful disease, and it's starting to hinder her life, and she just wants to get a life. She wants to be able to do things that she's never done before. So she enlists the help of her landlord, or kind of like the building manager, Red, which is this handsome guy right here, into helping her get a life. And the two end up having way more in common than they thought that they did, because they ultimately absolutely despise each other in the beginning. I just loved how realistic that the author made it. So I really enjoyed that book. 5 out of 5. I can't say anything else good about it. The other book was Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and this one, it is about is she the oldest or the second oldest? I think she's the second oldest sister. Dani Brown is a PhD student, and she works at this school, and she meets her friend Zafir, or Zaf, at the school, and he is a security guard. So they both do have, I like how in the beginning it just makes it clear that they both have the hots for each other. So they end up getting into a really funny situation to where Dani gets stuck in an elevator, Zaf comes to her rescue, and of course everybody is just recording them because the two obviously have an attraction to each other, and people give them a hashtag Dr. Rugby because Zaf is actually a retired rugby player, and he actually has a team that helps, I believe it was rugby players for kids that have mental health, and he sees an opportunity to kind of promote his team, and then Dani sees this also as an opportunity to kind of get what she wants, wink wink, you know what I mean, from Zafir, to basically like as an exchange type deal. But then things start to get a little bit confusing, lines get crossed, and the two end up having more chemistry than they thought that they did in the beginning. The characters in this books were just absolutely adorable, and I cannot wait to read Act Your Age Eve Brown, which is the third and the last book in the trilogy. But yes, the Brown Sisters by Talia Hibbert were the books that I read for the month of June. So the next book that I read for the month of June was Otis Ghost by Justina Ireland. I honestly should have read Otis Ghost before I did my mid-year freak out, because this book is the book that made me cry. Ophi is this young girl who's So this book, it is about a girl named Ophi, where she witnesses the lynching of her father. She realizes that she can see ghosts because her father, after the lynching happened, she sees his spirit go into the afterlife. And so Ophi and her mother actually have to take up residence with her cousins in another state. She does have to go to Pittsburgh to live with her father's relatives just so they can get their money back up and get a life for themselves. But the two women end up working for a manor called Daffodil Manor, where Ophi is given basically the responsibility of taking care of the old woman who lives in the house, and she has a son that kind of comes and goes as he pleases. But after Ophi arrives, she starts seeing spirits in the house that have a story to tell, and that the house is really not that good to begin with. I'm not going to get into the spoilers, but she does meet a ghost that lived in the house, and she figures out she died in the house fairly recently, and she wants to make the connection to the girl in the house. But this book made me cry just because it just talks about how African Americans back then, there was so much trauma and grief that happens that they were not allowed to process. They did not have a chance to process anything that happened to them. They literally, once it happened, they had to pick up all of their stuff and go and just live their life somewhere else and just keep moving. They had no time to properly grieve, and you really see that for Ophi and her mother. They had no chance to grieve the loss of her father and her husband. You just really see how difficult it was for people back then to pick up their lives after something completely tragic happens, and you just see the unfairness of it all and just the injustice that my ancestors had to face back then, just because of who they were as people and just because who they were born as. And she did a very beautiful way at explaining it into terms where people of a younger age can understand and basically take in the information. But yes, Otis Ghost by Justina Ireland. This was one of the books I read for the month of June. 5 out of 5. So another book that I read for the month of June was A Place Called Perfect by Helena Dugan. So this book is about a girl named Violet, where her father is an optometrist, and he gets called to a city called Perfect to basically help with the residents, because the residents in the town are going blind, and basically the owners or the mayors of the town want his help to figure out an antidote as to why the people are going blind. But as Violet continues to live in the town, one of the requirements is that they drink this tea that's like this special brew for the community, and they have to wear these rose-colored glasses. So Violet puts on the glasses, but then as she wears the glasses, she notices that her family starts to change, and everyone around her just is acting a little bit funny. But the place is called Perfect because literally everything is perfect. All the children are so well behaved. Everybody loves books and cooking and reading. Everyone is literally perfect. And Violet doesn't roll that way. And for some reason, she's the only one that is not affected in the town. And she takes it upon herself to figure out what's going on in the town and why everybody is acting so funny, and why her mother is acting so funny, why her mother loves to bake and cook when her mother can't cook to save her life. But it was a really cute read. I really enjoyed it. I do have the other 2 books in this series. I'm gonna continue reading it on. A Place Called Perfect by Helena Dugan. This was one of the books that I read for the month of June. Another book that I read for the month of June was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and I gave this book, I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. This book is about a woman named Mariana, where she does experience the death of her husband, and she's trying to cope with that loss, but she's also a psychotherapist for group therapy, and she is called to her niece's school because one of the friends of her niece is murdered. But Mariana was also a student at the school, so she knows everybody, she knows the ins and outs of the schools. But she meets this teacher named Edward Fosca, and he is giving her the creeps. She's like, I do not like this guy. But as she continues on with the mystery and helping her niece figure out what happened to her friend, she notices that literally every single thing is pointing to this teacher. She is absolutely adamant that it's this his teacher, and she does everything she can and more to prove that it's him. But Mariana is struggling because bodies are just popping up everywhere, and they're all students of the school, and Mariana is just literally losing her mind because also another patient is having an issue with stalking her. She just has a lot going on, and Mariana is just trying to get everything under control without losing her mind. But I did give this book a 3.5 out of 5. Doesn't mean I didn't like it, but there was just some aspects in the book in the end to where I just wasn't fond of it. But yes, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides was one of the books I read for the month of June. The next book that I read for the month of June was The Box in the Woods, and need I say more? I absolutely adore Maureen Johnson as an author, as a person. Just, I love her. So this book, it is following the Truly Devious series, where it's not really a part of the original series. It has the same characters, same cast and everything, but the synopsis is a little bit different. Stevie and her friends get invited to a camp called what's it called? Oh, it's called Camp Wonder Falls, in this place called Barlow Falls. And there was actually a murder that happened in the woods with, I believe it was 4 students that were murdered. And the camp counselor, or the camp owner, he calls on Stevie to help him solve the mystery of the murders of the camp. But Stevie is kind of having issues of her own. She, you know, she solved the mystery of the Ellingham Academy. And when she goes here, she kind of loses her notoriety. She's living a regular life, working a regular job, and she kind of misses like that thrill of solving mysteries, and she just misses doing what she does, which is solve mysteries. She gets the perfect opportunity to come to Barlow Corners to help solve the mystery of what happened at Camp Wonder Falls. Things start to get a little bit more outside of the actual camp and more so about some secret stuff that's going on in the camp, and Stevie and her friends take it upon themselves to actually solve the mystery and figure out what's going on. But I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this book. I just hope that this series never ends, because if it does, goodness gracious, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do with myself? What am I going to read? I have an entire bookshelf back there that I'm going to read, but that's besides the point. The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson with the Stevie Bell trilogy. This is one of the books that I read for the month of June. So now on to the graphic novels. So I read these 3 books called Something is Killing the Children, and it is about creatures that are literally killing the children. Now, trigger warning for these books. Very graphic, and I mean extremely graphic. You literally see the drawings of the creatures doing what they do and killing the children. So if you are somebody that really just cannot handle it, please don't read these. Just don't. I'm gonna be completely honest, because it does get graphic and you see some stuff. So if that's not your thing, and especially if giant things that look like spiders are not your things, don't bother, don't read it. But for those of you who can handle that and do have a thing for spiders, even though I don't, Something is Killing the Children by, I think it's James Tinian, I think. One of the little kids in the town, he witnesses all of his friends get murdered by this thing, and there is this girl named Erica Slaughter. She comes to town, and her job is to basically eliminate this problem and kill the monsters that is killing these children. But I think his name is James in the book, but I believe it's Erica and James. They do go around to try and solve the mystery of what is killing the children and getting it to stop before things get worse. And this book, like, I thoroughly enjoyed this series, even though it is very graphic and there is a lot of gore in these books. I really liked them. I thought that the illustrations were pretty cool. I ended up giving all of these books a 4 out of 5 because I thought they were really good. The story development was great, the drawings were great, the character development was even better. But even though with all the gore and you seeing the kids get killed, So Something is Killing the Children by James Tinian. These are some of the books that I read for the month of June. So another book or manga series that I read was Sweat and Soap by Kentetsu Yamada. This book, it is about a woman named Asako, and she is working for like this company that just makes soaps and scents and everything that smells good. But Asako has a really bad problem to where she perspires a lot and she does have a tendency to smell. But she's absolutely in love with these products at this company, and she is ride or die for this company. She wears all of the products, but then she catches the attention of the product developer, and he notices her scent, and he's like absolutely obsessed with it because there's something with the chemistry of her body and the body of the perfumes that she wears. It just turns him on to no end. So he gives her a project of basically wear all the scents, let me smell you. And like, I'm laughing because it's funny. He tells her like, hey, if you really like, you love this company, here's a job, let me smell you every day. But in the end, it was really cute because she's just super self-conscious, and he is just like this really body positive, free-spirited man, to where her body smell or anything like that about her does not bother him. If anything, he finds it attractive. Asako and the product developer end up having a relationship that goes a little bit more than scents, and it becomes more so of an attachment than Asako had bargained for. But this book, I did give it, I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. This book, it does have, it is like a kind of a sexual book, if you know what I mean. So it does blur out the images of like the body parts and stuff, obviously, but it is that kind of erotica book. I didn't know that it was, okay? So I just picked it up and I thought it was interesting. I'm an adult. I can read that kind of stuff. Who cares? Sweat and Soap by Kanetsu Yamada is one of the books that I read for the month of June. Last but not least, I picked up a new novel called Homesick Pilots by, I don't know who this is even by. They never put like the full name of the author. They always just put the last name. Dan Waters and Casper Wingard. So this book, it is like about summer 1994, where there's this famous haunted house, and this girl named Amy, she is the lead singer of this band, and all of her band, they basically want to become super famous. So they figured, what better way to become famous if we play a gig in the famous haunted house. But when Amy goes to scope out the house, she gets stuck inside of the house, and it kind of takes over her body, and supernatural things start to happen. This book is actually a new series. I don't know much about the series, but the biggest thing that I got out of it was just that it is about a house that takes over people, and not everybody comes out of the house. It's kind of like that movie Monster House. It is literally like Monster House, but times 10 gore. But I'm going to read it again just so I can have a little bit better of an understanding of the book. But yes, Homesick Pilots by Dan Waters is one of the books that I read for the month of June. All right, everyone, so that was the last book for the month of June that I read for my June wrap up. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think and what books that you guys are picking up that you read of mine that I recommended to you, and just let me know how you like the book. I always get so excited whenever you guys tell me about the books that you guys are reading that I recommend to you. It makes me so happy. You guys, I cannot stress how happy it makes me when you guys tell me that you guys are reading a book that I read. And then also, I am super excited to announce that I will be hosting my very first reading sprint on Monday, July 4th. So I'm not sure what time that's going to be, but I do plan on hosting a reading sprint on that day. If you guys want to join in, I will be posting a upcoming live stream of that video coming up on Monday, July 4th. And I really hope you guys join me with that video. And I'm so excited because this is my first live stream with you guys, and live streams always make me nervous. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but I'm super excited to do that with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I love you guys, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.